Hi guys, welcome to another video. Now, I just want to start off this video by saying everything I'm going to say in this video is coming from an Xbox fan. I grew up on Xbox, bro. I played the original Xbox. It was like the first game system I ever touched. I loved the Halo franchise, all of that. So everything I'm going to say in this video, bro, is coming from an Xbox fan. And I'm not slandering anyone who plays Xbox. Like I said before, I love the company. I love, Xbox, okay? I'm with you guys on this. But with the recent news of Xbox laying off a ton of game studios, I'm sure you guys know all about that. It's time to start raising some eyebrows at Microsoft. So last year, 2023, was honestly a really good year for Xbox, I thought. Game Pass started to pick up a ton of traction and they started to put out more first party IPs, some of which were massive successes, aka Hi-Fi Rush. If you guys don't know that game, I don't know how you don't know what Hi-Fi Rush is, but Hi-Fi Rush was a pretty critically acclaimed game and it actually even won a game award for 2023. Which the fact that Hi-Fi Rush won a game award in 2023 is really, really huge because 2023 was a stacked year for games. I mean, we had games like Baldur's Gate, Spider-Man 2, dude, just like it was a colossal year. Alan Wake 2, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Like the fact Hi-Fi Rush was able to make some noise at the Game Awards in 2023 really speaks volumes about Tango Gameworks and how valuable they are to Microsoft. So what does Microsoft do to reward Tango Gameworks? They kick him to the curb. That's literally what they did. They kicked Tango Gameworks to the curb, bro. There were three other studios that got canned by Microsoft as well. I think Tango Gameworks here is really the one that is worth mentioning, like I said before, because they pretty much made one of the best Xbox exclusives in history, okay? Hi-Fi Rush, it's a great game, and it's one of the best Xbox exclusives in history. And the fact that they got the can is crazy. I can understand the developers behind Redfall. They kind of did drop the ball on that. But there could be some inside management failures, which we're going to talk about in this video, that could have messed up the development of that game. We're going to go ahead and get into that later, though. And I understand business is business. At the end of the day, you got to make money to keep things going. But Hi-Fi Rush and Tango Gameworks were by no means a failing business for Microsoft. They were actually one of their top producers. Tango Gameworks also made games like The Evil Within, Evil Within 2, and then they turn around and drop something like Hi-Fi Rush. Like, this studio has demonstrated amazing talent, bro. They can make survival horror games. They can make beat 'em up rhythm games with Hi-Fi Rush with amazing art styles and designs. Like, this was a talented studio and they were making Microsoft like a lot of money. And Phil Spencer, he just goes out here and he runs his mouth, man. Like, dude, Phil Spencer, I love you, bro, but you just yap about what you're gonna do and how you're gonna make a big comeback in the gaming landscape and how you have all these big things planned, and then we just see stuff like this, man. Like what? It's just like you take 2 steps forward and then 5 steps back. That's what Microsoft has been with Xbox for seriously like the past decade, ever since the Xbox One. The Xbox 360 was seriously the peak of this system. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I just said, this is nothing new and it's been happening for like the past decade at this point, and it's just history repeating itself. The whole Tango Gameworks situation is really, really reminding me about what happened with Microsoft and Insomniac. Let me go ahead and break it down for you guys if you don't remember. Back in like 2014 when the Xbox One was first released, Insomniac Games decided to work with Microsoft to produce an Xbox exclusive. This Xbox exclusive was Sunset Overdrive, a game that is really, really reminiscent of Hi-Fi Rush for me, okay? I remember Sunset Overdrive getting a lot of critical acclaim, even though it wasn't a big seller. And the reason it wasn't a big seller was because Microsoft dropped the bag with the Xbox One marketing, okay? They tried to focus more on entertainment when you had competitors like Sony with the PS4 focusing more on their games. And consumers saw this, and Xbox One sales were down, and Sunset Overdrive came out at the beginning of the Xbox One generation, and that is really what messed its sales up, okay? On top of that, the Xbox One just didn't have that many good exclusives, and a lot of the other exclusives that came out on the Xbox One alongside with like Sunset Overdrive were just riddled with microtransactions, and they were under fire for that as well. So the Xbox One didn't sell well because Microsoft fumbled the bag, and because Microsoft fumbled the bag, it fumbled Insomniac's bag with Sunset Overdrive, okay? Now, where Insomniac was smart is they didn't let Microsoft buy them out. Insomniac has always been a studio where when they're working with like Sony or Microsoft on an exclusive game, they won't let these companies buy them out, and they'll just say, nah, we'll make an exclusive for you guys, but we're going to do our own thing. And, that's what they're doing with Sony now, which I think is respectable. And I think that's what Tango Gameworks should have done with Microsoft. But you can't tell me these two situations aren't really, really similar. I mean, you have two games, Sunset Overdrive and Hi-Fi Rush, which, visually look really similar. They have fun art styles, and they're just, fun, goofy games that are, have good gameplay, they have good soundtracks, all that. I just wanted to make that comparison because what happened with Insomniac is they, eventually went to Sony. Let's go ahead and get into that. Xbox had a really, really strong relationship with Insomniac, with Sunset Overdrive, and I know that the sales for Sunset Overdrive weren't the best, but like I said before, it was Microsoft's fault 100%, because Insomniac is a talented studio. I don't care what any of you guys say. Sunset Overdrive is a great game, and Insomniac makes great games, and Xbox had a golden goose right there, okay? Like, they had a good developer that they could work with in the future for, more projects. And Insomniac went to them and said, hey, we want to dabble in Marvel superhero games. We have this Spider-Man idea, and we really want to get that going. We need your guys' purchasing power, and we need your guys' help getting us the rights to it, but we will make a hit for you guys. And Microsoft looked at this and they said, no, we don't want you to make Marvel games. In what world would a Spider-Man game not be profitable? I mean, we saw the future, right? We've seen the Spider-Man games on PlayStation. Cough, cough, they eventually went to Sony because Sony scooped that right up. So yeah, that's just really like a stupid business move in my opinion. Them dropping their connections with Insomniac and, with what they're doing with Tango Gameworks and Arcane, like it's really, really similar. And the reason I bring up Sunset Overdrive and Insomniac leaving Microsoft to go work with Sony on the Spider-Man games is Sony is Xbox's biggest rival. And guess what, bro? Sony is looking at Xbox's pitfalls right now, and they are just picking it up, left and right. I guarantee you, Sony is going to swoop in and, take the Tango Gameworks team. I mean, it won't be under Tango Gameworks, I'm pretty sure, because the studio and the name got shut down. But Sony's looking at these developers right now, and they're like, oh yeah, you'll be a great addition to our team. And it's like Xbox is just leaving just these massive, valuable pieces of their company out in the open for their competitors to come steal. I mean, Hi-Fi Rush broke into the Japanese market like no other, which is something that Xbox has been trying to do for years, and Sony does really well. I guarantee you that Tango Gameworks and the people over there are going to be swooped up by Sony in no time. I'm literally calling it right now. And from a consumer standpoint, looking at the surface of all of this, bro, it's really clear that you can just kind of see the management issues that Microsoft has. I guarantee you the workplace there sucks. I mean, they're partnered with Activision Blizzard as well, and they've had their fair share of nuclear stories coming out about their working conditions. Like, I think a lot of Xbox's failures with the developers, like for example, let's take the developers of Redfall, I feel like there's some internal implosions going on there, and that's the reason a lot of their exclusives aren't working out, is they're trying to demand immediate success from these developers who are talented. Like the developers of Redfall are talented, but you can't just help but wonder, like, how rushed were they? Like, what were their conditions like? Like, how much was Microsoft truly squeezing Arcane for them to make this game? You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it seems like on the surface. It's just like poor and ruthless management, and they're just trying to take from these developers as much as they can, and they're not really trying to nurture a good creative environment, because at the end of the day, bro, like, video game developers, they got to be creative. Like, so what, like in a hypothetical world, like, let's say, what if Hi-Fi Rush was a massive failure and it didn't sell enough? Like, Xbox should still look at it and say, hey, you guys made a good game, let's go ahead and take some more risks on you guys. Let's go ahead and invest. Like, we have to invest in the long term. We can't be in for the short term. And that's what Sony did around the PS3 era, and it's paying dividends now, because the PS4 and the PS5 have been just absolutely kicking Xbox's butt, like, straight up. So yeah, Xbox's poor performance in sales and everything like that, and just in business in general over the last decade, should really be no secret. And I'm sorry, but if you look at all of the stuff that's going on right now, you can easily, like, with some critical thinking, deduct it to just poor managerial skills. Like that's seriously what I think is going on here. I think that the working conditions at Microsoft suck, and Microsoft just really sucks at trying to invest in developing studios that are actually talented and will make them a lot of money, but they have to, you know, once again, they have to invest it, bro. They can't be in for the short term. And Xbox has been in for the short term gain for so long, and Sony has been in for the long term gain. And you know, like who's winning this right now? Like in terms of business, like I don't want to be a console wars type of dude right now, but in terms of business, Sony's got it, bro. They got it over Xbox, like 100%. And that pains me to say. Like I'm playing PlayStation, like nowadays, anyways, dude. Just because the PS5 is better than the Xbox One Series X, like it just is. Sony exclusives are better, and at this point, you can't really blame anyone but Xbox because they really just drop everything good that's given to them. And I really want to preface this because Xbox is actually really good for the consumers, because when you see businesses like this struggling, they do things like Xbox Game Pass, right? Xbox Game Pass is super great for the consumers. Like you get all of these really good games just for like super cheap. Like it's like what, like $10 a month, and you get some of the like best games. Like Xbox Game Pass is really good for the consumers, but Xbox Game Pass also poses its issues for developing studios and Microsoft's business. Let's go ahead and get into that. You see, a lot of studios don't really like working with Microsoft nowadays and just Xbox as a whole for two reasons. The first reason is that the next gen consoles are wonky. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about the Series S, okay? The Series S, for those of you guys who don't know, is like marketed as this like affordable next gen console. It's great. I actually played on a Series S for a while. It's like $250. It's a bang for your buck. Like it's great for the consumer. But for developing studios, it sucks, and here's why. The Xbox Series S, it's not like a high performing console. It's like meant to be like, you know, a way lower experience than the Series X and have like lower hardware and all that. Now you have all these developers nowadays who are trying to develop next gen games, and they're just struggling because they have to compensate for the Series S, because the Series S is kind of bundled into that next gen, you know, conversation. A lot of developers out there who are trying to, you know, push the boundaries with next gen games will just end up going to Sony anyways, because they don't want to be bottlenecked by the Xbox Series S's capabilities. Like that's just really what it is, and that's a fact too. A lot of developers have come forward and said this. The second reason is Xbox Game Pass. Like Xbox Game Pass, like I said before, is great for the consumer, and I'm not slandering anyone who uses Xbox Game Pass, bro. If you guys take advantage of it, like good for you, bro. It's good for you. Like it's a cheap price. Like it's for you guys. Like that's your money, man. You don't got to worry about the business whatsoever. Like, you know, good for you, bro. Like there's no shame in it. But Xbox Game Pass it's a problem for developers as well, because they know that nowadays a lot of the Xbox player base is going over to Xbox Game Pass, and they're just playing the games on Xbox Game Pass. They're not really buying any new games. And it's like there's no reason to buy new games if you have Xbox Game Pass, in my opinion. Like most of the time, like a bunch of new games that are dropping on Xbox that are actually worth playing will just come out on Game Pass. So it's like if you're a consumer that has an Xbox, just get Game Pass and you're pretty much set. You never have to buy a game ever again. And so like developers know this and they see this. They like Xbox Game Pass is basically too good because they know that they'll put out a new game and it probably won't be on Game Pass. And they're also going to have their performance and everything of the game they made get bottlenecked by the Series S. So they're just like, why would we even care about the Xbox, bro? Like, why wouldn't we just release it on PC and PlayStation and that's it, you know, so we can actually get the sales? Like that's really just what it boils down to. So yeah, Xbox has really created a sticky situation for themselves though, because Sony, once again, their biggest competitor, can match their hand with anything. For example, Sony now has a subscription service, PlayStation Premium. It's basically their version of Game Pass. And dude, it's strong. And it could easily get better than Game Pass, and Sony wouldn't have to take a hit financially whatsoever. And that's scary for Xbox. It really should be, because PlayStation Premium seems to be getting better and better, and there's a massive catalog of games on there. Not to mention, Sony exclusives blow Xbox exclusives nowadays just out of the water completely. I mean, Xbox just released Hellblade 2, which is decent. Like, I like the first Hellblade. Hellblade 2 isn't bad, it looks good, but a lot of people are slandering this game just because it's $40, it's 5 hours long. And then you look over at Sony and they're dropping games like Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth recently just came out, and it was only on PlayStation for a little bit. It will eventually go to the Xbox, but PlayStation just has the upper hand in every single way. And like I said before, it really just comes down to the managerial department of both of these studios. You can clearly see that Sony is investing in longevity, and Xbox is trying to get short-term gain, and that's kind of shooting them in the foot here, because now they're just in such a sticky situation because their number one competitor is just headhunting them, bro. They can seriously match Xbox's energy in every way, shape, or form, and they're coming for it, bro. It's hard because like when you're Xbox, bro, especially after the studio shutting down like Tango Gameworks, one of your biggest producers, dude. Like, how are you supposed to compete? Like, it's worrying because we could never see another Xbox again, and that does make me sad. Like I said, I love Xbox, but at the end of the day, Sony's just they're just forcing their hand, man. And at this point in time, when you really take a look at Xbox's tools and what developing studios they're working with, it's really only Activision, because if you guys remember, they actually bought Activision or something like that, and they now basically like own the rights to Call of Duty. And I almost wonder if that whole thing was too expensive for them, and that's why we're seeing all these developing studios being cut, because the Activision deal was just too much for them. And I feel like they wanted to get in and save the Call of Duty franchise. But if that's the case, this is just speculation, but if that's the case and they made that move while knowing it was too expensive for them, that's a terrible business move, man, because Call of Duty in recent years has been on a massive decline, especially after the release of one of the most worst Call of Duties ever. You're gonna buy their franchise and risk it all. Like I said, I don't know if that's the case, but that could be the case. Like, Activision probably wasn't cheap to buy the rights to and buy out. So who knows there. I really think that the new Call of Duty release coming this year is going to be super, super important for Microsoft and Xbox. For those of you guys who don't know, it's actually going to be Black Ops 6, and there's a ton of leaks floating around. Who knows, though? It's Call of Duty. I would love Call of Duty to return to its prime, but I don't think it ever will, man. I think it's time to let this franchise go. Who knows? Black Ops 6 might be good. But that's seriously Xbox's last hope, is Black Ops 6 at this point. Like, that's really all they're working with. They're working with Call of Duty, and that's in Game Pass, and that's about it. And developers are ditching them day by day. I'm sure we're gonna see more of this moving forward. I really want Microsoft to turn it around, man. I really do. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. And like I said before, guys, like please don't get hostile. If you guys are an Xbox fan, like, dude, I'm with you guys. Like, I'm an Xbox kid too, bro. Like, I love Xbox. I grew up on it, and honestly, if Xbox was better, I'd be playing Xbox over PlayStation. And like I said before, I don't want to be a console wars dude, but in terms of business, like in terms of business, bro, Xbox is getting their butt whooped. Okay, like, just straight up. Like, it's just facts at this point. Like, you just look at the numbers, and that pains me to say. And I'm not slandering anyone who plays Xbox. As a matter of fact, Xbox is great for the consumer, because Xbox is kind of against the ropes right now, and they're dropping discounted subscription services, and low price consoles that can run next gen games. Like, it's great for the consumer, but from a business standpoint, it's not too good. Like, it's basically the equivalent of a store going out of business and just handing out discounted clothes. Like, that's literally what is going on here. So it's good for the consumer, and I'm not bashing you guys whatsoever. And like I said before, bro, I take advantage of Game Pass on PC 100%, bro. It's amazing. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like and a subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.